Hello and welcome everybody. This is Voices for All podcast. My name is Marcos, I'm the CEO of Quilombo UK. We are a social marketing agency in Kingston, working in the whole UK on equality, diversity and inclusion, doing plenty different approaches to discuss topics around EDI. I am here today on the Resilience Funding from Kingston Council that, thank you very much, has funded us to bring a podcast to the refugee community where we will be telling you, all of the Kingston residents, if you are a refugee here in Kingston, everything that's available to you, all of the organizations that are out there in Kingston to support yourselves for plenty different areas, as well as for you Kingston residents that would like to know a little bit more about the refugee community, and if you want to get involved, if you want to support, what you can do as well. And I have the pleasure with me here, Georgie from Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness. Thank you very much for coming. Really nice to have you here. Thank you for taking the time. I know how busy your agendas are to come and be with us in here today, bringing a bit more knowledge to everybody. So welcome. Thank you very much. And it would be great. I'm going to bring your website up as well. And it would be nice if you, of course, could introduce yourself a little bit, your role in the organization, and a brief summary of you guys and what you guys do.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Yes, really delighted to be here to talk about an underserved community, especially in relation to asylum seekers and refugees. Yes. So my name is Georgie Forshaw. I'm the CEO of Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness. Most people will know us by KCAH, an acronym. I've been fortunate enough to work at Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness for 12 years.
12 years now.
Yeah, 12 years. So I feel very knowledgeable in that I've worked from the front line to the position I'm in now. So I have a very strong kinship to the issues and the challenges that we face in Kingston. Mm-hmm. So I've been in post as CEO for 18 months. And we are a voluntary sector service that is unique at what it does. So there's no other service like us in other boroughs. There are different iterations of services that will help homeless people in the voluntary sector. Yeah. But we are a standalone organisation.
And why are you a standalone organisation? What do you do?
So we have a couple of facets of what we do. Mm-hmm. The most obvious one is a drop-in service. Uh-huh. So that is unique, especially after COVID. Not many drop-ins still exist.
Really? So after COVID, the drop-ins reduced?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think also there will probably be a relationship with funding in terms of, people's ability to have that level of open access is quite challenging in terms of safeguarding cost. So we run Monday to Friday. The drop-in itself is open from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Monday to
Friday.
Yeah.
You do not need an appointment. You do not need to be referred. So you can turn up yourself at any point to have a conversation. You will need to fill in some paperwork just so that we can understand what the complexity of the issue and how we help. One thing that it's important to share is that we don't do advice over the phone. Uh-huh. So we have found that as a small organisation, the relationship that we want to broker with someone is really key. And we feel, this is evidence-based, we feel that we have... you build up more of a rapport and you understand more of the problem when you're face-to-face with someone. So we don't have the capacity to do over the phone.
But if they do call you, you will tell them...
We'll tell them to come in.
Where are the walk-ins? Where do you host the walk-in sessions?
So we are based in Norbiton, so a 10-minute walk from centre of Kingston. We're on the corner of Cambridge Road and London Road, so people will ordinarily identify where we are by what we refer to, I think a lot of people in Kingston refer to as Little Asda.
The Little Asda, yes.
The Little Asda.
Not the 24 hours one,
not the Roehampton one, the little one.
Yes.
So there's a church next door to that called St. Peter's Church. Yeah. There are some awkward entry points because you have to come in through the car park and we're in a repurposed church hall next to it. Yeah. Uh-huh. So we're kind of tucked away, but a lot of people in that local area, if you were struggling, either just call us or you ask someone and they'll be able to signpost. So we are open 9 to 5.
Okay.
On the advice side. But what ordinarily happens is there are a larger proportion of people we work with who will need further attention than being seen in a crisis moment. For example, if someone is coming with challenges around their income, we may say, you're going to need to bring XXX back, so come for an appointment this afternoon.
To be able to support them.
Yeah, for us to kind of do some more involved work with that person.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't necessarily answer the door for free advice after 1 p.m.
Okay.
So that's just really important, because I think we get a lot of incorrect signposting on timings.
Okay.
So definitely 10 till 1. And I would actually advise, the pressure on the need for our service at the moment is such that if you're going to come after 12, you might be asked to come back the next day because it's been so busy.
Because there's people waiting, etc.
Yeah.
And what are the services that you offer there on the walk-ins?
So within the drop-in, we try to offer something to everyone, no matter what the need is. So that could be anything about income. It could be long-standing issues. It could be quick wins. So you might need a food bank voucher. You might need some clean clothes. Mm-hmm. You might need some hygiene packs.
Yeah.
You might just want to sit down and have a cup of tea and a chat.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So they can come in, sit down, have a cup of tea, have a chat.
Yeah, and a protein bar.
Amazing.
Don't know why I picked up
which
that
is
one.
super important. I think we were just talking to Bassam from Refugee Action, which was also mentioning how isolation impacts a lot. So people can come down, see you guys, say hi, have a cup of tea, a protein bar. Yeah.
I think a person in need is always going to be identified, or runs the risk of always being identified as just being seen through the lens of their need. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that's we try really hard, sometimes to our detriment because we do it quite well.
Yeah.
That we just want someone. It is isolating, so a lot of people that come to us don't have that support network. So we feel quite strongly that we are that person that smiles and greets them and makes them feel like a person that's valued, not just because they're having to access something because of their challenges.
And how many of us, just on that point, how many of us are running our daily routine and for whatever reason we had not a good day or whatever else is making us a little bit down, but we probably have somebody around us that we know we can call or we can go to that will say everything's fine.
Yeah. Or just give you that safe place to just feel a bit rubbish for 5 minutes.
And we're talking about the community that do not sometimes have that around them, and you guys are playing that role as well. How amazing.
I mean, I think also, just specifically about homeless people, certainly rough sleepers specifically, you'll find that there is a group dynamic. It's human nature that we want to be part of a community that supports each other and protects you. And if you don't have that, I can't even begin to imagine how vulnerable that would make you feel, really.
Yeah.
So that's the advice service. I hope I've done it a good...
What are the long-standing issues? What examples? You mentioned some long-standing issues.
Oh, so for a person who's presenting with a need?
Yeah, you said that some quick wins, and then you mentioned some. What would be the long... Yeah.
So a more complex issue, say, for example... Okay, so a person could turn up and they'll fill in some basic paperwork, and on that paper it will look like they need a bit of income, they've got some rent arrears, they're looking at being evicted.
Oh, wow.
Right, so that's what it might look like on the paper.
Yeah.
Actually, when you sit down and talk to them, Marcus, the reality of that is that they could have £10,000 worth of housing benefit, so state-funded rent that hasn't been paid because they didn't open a letter. So it's not as straightforward. So then you're trying to reinstate the payment. You're trying to then speak to potentially a solicitor to overturn the paperwork around eviction. You're then trying to set up a payment plan. You're looking at additional funding to come in. So when you look at the timeline of how you're going to work with that person, it's what I would suggest is a longer-term case.
A couple of visits. And then you guys understand
and a lot
that
of advocacy.
It's maybe a little bit bigger than what the person actually thought initially.
Yes.
Amazing.
And because a lot of the time they won't know what support is out there, so they'll immediately catastrophize. We find actually, especially now, a lot of people not opening their post is very common. So they won't even know the problem is existing around them. until an additional person perhaps visits and says, "Oh, you haven't opened your post," and they're like, "Yeah."
Okay.
So that's on the advice side.
Yeah.
So it's as good or as bad as any day. It's beautiful chaos on those days, and you'll often find people sat in reception will support each other. It's quite beautiful to watch, actually, just in a little moment of time.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you here for? Oh, it's lovely, actually. Friendships have been born out of that reception.
Amazing.
So the other two things that we do, but I do think the advice is definitely the backbone of what we offer. And the other two things is, one is we have an accommodation project. So we have shared housing only within Kingston. We offer 2-year tenancies for people to support them out of pathways of homelessness. It's very person-centred, so they have a support worker, and we support them with their needs. We don't tell them what it is. We work with them to identify what those things are they want to achieve with us.
Yeah.
And we have a broad range of people in those projects.
Yeah.
And the other arm of what we do is something called the Bridge, which is for people who have a more complex relationship with substances.
Okay.
So that allows people to remain with tendencies around use of substances, but they can come and have a holistic, safe place to talk to us about the risks around that, if they want to change their behaviours around substances. And that's also a drop-in 3 days a week.
Amazing. So we have the advisory center, you have the accommodation, and you have the bridge service, as you said. Amazing. Now, you were saying that you do get refugees coming to yourselves as well, refugees and asylum seekers. Was it right you said sometimes they are about to receive the status, and which that means they will need somewhere to go, and sometimes they don't have somewhere to go. And if you are a refugee in Kingston, again, we will do our best to try and show you where you can go here and be able to get some subtitles on that podcast to support with you understanding and seeing and getting all of the information out of it. And here talking to Georgie from Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness. And you can go there, walking Monday to Friday, 10 to 1 p.m. And they can support you if this is your case, that you are now needing to somewhere to go. They've got a specific project to try and support you. And is that right that you say that the refugees and asylum seekers, that you also get them there in your
yes
projects?
So historically, we've always had, like we were talking about earlier, due to the nature of people being able to come themselves and ask almost anything, word of mouth has been our biggest referrer. And that can even transcend countries.
Wow.
So we've always had a healthy throughput of asylum seekers and refugees.
Yeah.
Latterly, so since September last year, when I was looking at figures for the demands on the organisation for the past year, since September we've seen a 62% increase in footfall of people who are asylum seekers. 62%
since September last year. Wow.
So the primary demographic for those people is either actually from Africa or Iraq.
Wow.
And primarily male.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have seen a significant spike in attendances.
Yeah.
A range of referral options, some from other people that have already worked with us that might share that information within that community.
Nice.
Primarily within home office accommodation is what we've recorded. And other ones are from additional voluntary sector services who might refer to us also. The primary reason for the spike that we have recorded is that people are being given status and then now being discharged into the community within 7 days.
Wow.
So it's also not exclusive to local referrals. So asylum seekers being in local accommodation. We've had people come to us from Birmingham. We've had people come to us from Leeds.
Wow.
We understand the context there is that they will have additional friends or family that will be in London, and they are just casting their net wide as to what support they can get to try and be as near their community
of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But they will access the same routes as us. I mean, we don't work with immigration law, so we're not qualified to do that. So our relationship with asylum seekers coming is purely around trying to identify, have they got the right income, and what is going to be the right housing solution for them, and can we make that happen?
So if you are a refugee or an asylum seeker in the UK, specifically in Kingston upon Thames, and this is your situation, you're about to receive your status, and you've been informed that then you will not maybe have anywhere to go. Here we're talking to Georgie from Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness, and you can go there and they can advise you what would be the best option, what's there for you, what's out there available to you. And are those the main challenges that the refugees and asylum seekers that comes to you? It's housing the main challenge?
Yes.
Okay.
I think an additional trend that we've seen actually, because certainly the recent traffic, as we've said, is due to changes from the Home Office or changes from central government.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was always an existing throughput, but not with the demand and the scope of need that we see at the moment. I think it is hugely challenging to always offer people a solution in Kingston. Mm-hmm. I think there is always work on an infrastructure that, and we're very lucky in Kingston that we have a supportive community in our voluntary sector network. Yeah. But definitely language is a challenge. I mean, there isn't, from my perspective, there isn't the best transition from arriving in this country in need for a larger proportion of people than by the time they may well land on our doorstep. So language is increasingly challenged. The culture of understanding what housing in this country looks like for someone is extraordinarily different, or at an opposite end from what the majority of people would have experienced.
Wow.
And that coupled with trauma means, the opportunities that we have around shared accommodation, a lot of them without support necessarily, morally doesn't feel great. Mm-hmm. A person may be better equipped to navigate that than another. Yeah. But it's certainly really challenging times that the scope of the demand is not meeting the infrastructure that already exists.
So there's a lot of people needing housing, and Kingston needs more support on housing. So they might get shared accommodation as well. Okay.
I'm not aware as to whether or not you might have had other people speaking from a statutory perspective with regards to this context. But the majority of people won't meet a state threshold for intervention where they're more likely to get social housing, more cost effective, and be able to reach a proportion of people that have probably suffered significant trauma and continue to suffer that trauma. Mm-hmm. So our offers are limited. They're valid, and there's our supported accommodation as well, which can support someone that's had definitely more of a trying journey than another. But yes, I think there's still a lot of work to be done amongst us as a society or a government to provide a better service.
Yeah. And you mentioned language as well. When language is an issue, do you signpost to other organizations?
Yeah, so
you've got Leah learning English at home.
We have Leah, yes. Yeah. And also we have some volunteers that ex-teachers that we work with that just have a relationship with us as an organisation that also take individuals. So, for example, if we were going to offer someone a space in our accommodation project, we don't want to see language as a barrier to them accessing that option. Yeah. What we do want to see is we can upskill them if that's something they're looking for, that they can equip themselves with a better understanding of the language, because it's going to be probably essential to they're having a joyful experience of living in the UK, isn't it? So it's a combination. ESOL can be quite difficult to get onto now because there's quite long waiting lists, and they have certain timeframes where they run it, and that's why we took the approach of asking our community of volunteers and supporters if anyone had that additional time. A lot of ex-teachers, which is good. So that will come in and work with people. Yeah.
If anybody in Kingston watching the podcast is interested in supporting,
great.
Understand the issue, it's really wanting to do something but don't know how, one of the things that you can do with Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness, you can volunteer as an English teacher to support the community that are arriving, that will not having the language to understand so much. So you can contact. How do they get in touch?
So they can contact us either on our main details are on our website.
On the
but
website.
On our office number.
Is that a phone number they can call?
Yes, the details are on there. But if they feel quite key by what I've said, they're welcome to contact me direct, and I can field their inquiry for sure.
Amazing. How is there an email?
Email, yes. So all our details are on the website in the Contact Us tab.
If you tell us, we can also put in the screen now.
Okay, it's georgie.f.
Which one?
Georgie.f. At KCAH.
At KCAH.org.uk. We'll be on the screen here as well for them to see. Yeah, yes. Amazing. Now, stories. We're asking the organization for inspiring stories, rewarding stories of the amazing people you work with, for us to share a little bit with our audience on I think we already have an understanding of all of the work, the situations. We just had Bassan here showing a little bit of the whole a journey to get to the UK, and then here gladly meeting people like yourselves, getting some support. Is there a story that stood out, very inspiring, from the beautiful people you're working with?
Wow, that's such a loaded question, in so much that there's many. I think if I can touch on a couple, actually, because I think what I observe and what I'm left with is the enduring sense of resilience of humankind is extraordinary. I think currently two things. So I referred to us having an accommodation project. So we do have two previous asylum seekers who are in that supported. There's more than that, but the two I'm mentioning specifically are because they have offered themselves, their time, their empathy back. So as people that have status, are working, have a settled option, having gone through the trauma of homelessness and being an asylum seeker, they're now pretty settled. And it was extraordinary that when we ran our winter night shelter, which is in operation till the end of this month, when they heard about it, they came to see me to ask if they could volunteer. Wow. Because they wanted to give something back, and they couldn't actually find obvious routes that they felt comfortable with, that they could support people in need. Yeah. So unbelievably, out of 15 people, half of those people are asylum seekers in our winter night shelter at the moment. I mean, that's a very loud statement. Half of them are asylum seekers. So that's quite a loud statement, on a very small scale, but that's a very loud statement as to what is occurring in your local community. Yes. So you have two gentlemen who had a very traumatic experience of arrival in the UK and settling in the UK before the additional challenges that we're even seeing now, that are giving back to their community, and we are offering them additional support so they're not re-traumatized by some of the stories. And some of these stories, oh my God, I can't imagine they're hearing now. Of the people in... And it triggers the trauma, it triggers everything. So that's... Exactly. And this is super important, because part of us running the podcast as well is to try and demonstrate the details on the whole traumatic situation. Not just the journey, as we were saying, what they have to leave behind in the way that they have to leave behind, but also that people are coming here to contribute. People coming here to wanting to be integrated, and you just mentioned the two gentlemen wanting to come and contribute and support as well, isn't it? So making the community, now that you say that they are pretty settled as well, they are giving back to the community. And as part of their faith, both are men of Islam, and both felt, that's really key in their faith, that they want to share that back with. It's been an extraordinary thing to be a part of, actually, to watch it and see the honour with which they've approached that whole situation of wanting to not look elsewhere, but to work within the community, almost a calling to kind of make sure that other people that have gone through the same experience, that they have an ability to not only help them practically, but also culturally. And that's something that I can't necessarily offer. We can source it and we can intervene in it, but I can't sit in a room with someone and really understand because I haven't been there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an extraordinary thing.
It's very important for them to be in your team.
Yeah.
Because he also has way more links with the other clients that are arriving as well. So super important to share as well. Super important now, I think, as well for us to looking at your website, and we spoke a bit about what the services that you're offering. But again, if we have people watching that want to get involved, they can come and volunteer. They can support teaching English. But donations, I can see something on your website about donations. Cash donations, any other type of donations that you guys take that would be important if anybody wants to contribute?
So I'm sure you would have heard this from other services today. As a voluntary sector organisation, we're only as good as the money that's coming in, and as a charity, you don't store money, you look to spend it because that's the purpose of your existence.
Yep.
So there's many ways of donating through the website. Something fun is that so World Homelessness Day and Homelessness Sunday are in the first week of October, and we are going to be running our first ever annual sleep out.
Oh wow.
So that's going to be in the centre of Kingston. I won't share too many details at the moment until it's absolutely firmed up so that we can share, but you can be sponsored to sleep rough for the night.
So people should basically experience what is to sleep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What is that? I've seen once on the TV a program that was trying to do it. So you guys are going to do an event?
We're going to do an event.
And when again?
That's in October this year.
October this year.
Yeah.
If anybody wants, can they participate as well?
Oh yes. So it's for up to 70 people.
Up to 70 people.
So we're going to have 70 people sleeping under the stars. And they can be sponsored, and I think it has two things. Obviously, we need money to survive. I'm not shy about that, but I think also I'm really passionate about educating our community about the scope of the problem that exists. And we literally are stronger together. No service can manage a person alone. No one person should work with one agency because their issues and challenges and complexities are bigger than one service.
Yeah. So if you're in Kingston, as interest on supporting anybody in this situation, homelessness, and would like to support, in October, KCAH will run an event where you can sleep under the stars, as you're putting, to try
or the rain clouds, I'm not sure.
Yeah, to try and understand a bit more of the issue that is really serious, and then as well, hopefully, contributing even more to the support of what Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness is doing in Kingston. Or you can make a donation. Let's please ask for our team to put there's a QR code for you to donate. If you wish to donate some, and it's super important, please do. Every whatever you can donate, I'm sure, as you're saying, that you will support a lot. And what about people that perhaps have a place, a house, or somewhere in their house that can share and accommodate? Is that something that you...
So we're always looking for landlords or people with opportunities that want to support us with offering people that have been homeless an opportunity to have a longer term chance at recovery from homelessness and any other additional challenges they have. So we would really welcome contact from anyone. Even if it is a room in a shared house, there are ways that we can support that governance. Or if someone, unbelievably has a house they want to offer, or I recognise that's difficult in most recent times. But please get in touch with me.
If you do have a space, if it's a room in a house, if it's a flat, and you would like to support the cause in Kingston, you can get in touch with them as well. Kingston Churches Action on Homelessness. And contact Georgie. Her email will be back here on the screen again, or contact them via their website. So for you to get in touch and see how else you can also support them. And I think this is because of all of the stats that we have here. I think we cover some with them. Is there anything else you would like to share from KCAH that we can promote to our audience as well. Any other service or the donation you've got an event that you said. I think the current winter, what's the name again?
Night shelter.
The winter shelter will finish before those videos are going to go up.
But you know what? Numbers with homelessness are always on the increase.
Okay.
That's a sad reality. Numbers have been published recently and will continue to show, I think, an upward trajectory of people that are facing vulnerabilities around their housing and their sustainable housing.
Yeah.
I anticipate we will have to run such a provision in memoriam at the moment. I can't see us not being able to provide something in the winter months. So we don't exist as well as we could without volunteers.
Absolutely.
Volunteers are a core part of what we do, and it also embraces the element that we want to endorse around, again, that stronger together, that community element, and supporting each other. I think it's absolutely key. But if anyone has time they want to give, in the same way that I spoke about our housing advice service, as an organisation, as an individual, if you think there is something you want to do, you've got no idea what it is, please just give me a call and we can have a conversation as to what that can look like. I'm passionate about change, I'm passionate about offering support, and I'm passionate about letting people know that they are needed.
And if they say I have a couple of hours in the day, can they help?
Yes.
If they have the whole week to help? Even better.
It's the dream.
I've asked, I think I even went to Refugee Action Kingston, if anybody sees a homeless person and wants to support, can they try to talk to the person and see, or do they ring you guys? What's the best approach if you see and you have empathy? I remember seeing close to my house a couple with a child is sleeping in a mattress on the road, and I remember approaching and saying, can I help? And they said yes, and I think I remember getting a phone number from Refugee Action. But what's the best approach on a situation like this?
I mean, that's a brilliant question. I think a lot of that comes down to an individual perspective. On a practical level, what I can say to you is that that's horrifying to hear that you had an experience with someone with a child. So there is law that will intervene if there is a child on the streets, and that is a signpost immediately to the council or the police if you're concerned.
Okay.
Not from a criminal perspective, but from a positive intervention perspective. Yeah. Like we've spoken about today, please signpost to us. Yeah. If it's a weekend, there is an out of hours service with the council, so that is essentially stood up by social care. So weekend, there is an out of hours contact number for the council. Okay. And there is also 2 additional services, one of whom is our local outreach team, which is run by Spear. They're based in Twickenham, but they do Kingston outreach twice a week. Yeah. And then you have StreetLink, which is a national service that anyone can access online. So it's Spear and StreetLink. You can go onto StreetLink and let them know you've seen someone. Amazing. Yeah. Or Monday to Friday. Come to us. Come to you guys as well. Mm-hmm. Amazing. I'm concerned with time. Yes. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time. Thank you for having me. To come here. Anything else you would like to add from KCAH and from the work you do? No, I think it's a challenging time. I think that's been evidenced by all the work you're doing via the Resilience Fund, which is brilliant. I think highlighting any issues so that we can work together or support each other is great. So please do look to support us where you can, and more importantly, the people we've been speaking about today, because without that help, there is very little help, and we want more, not less. Absolutely. So thank you to the whole KCAH team. Thank you. They have been there, you say 12 years, right? Doing this amazing work in here in the church next to the Little Asda in Kingston. At St. Peter's Church. That was like a common thing? As well, Little Asda. Everybody refers to the Little Asda. And again, you can support them by making a financial donation. We will have the QR code here on the screen. You've got their website, plenty more for you to see. If you want to volunteer, if you want to donate your time, if you're interested in supporting more, in making a difference, in making a change, you are also able to contact them and offer whatever you can do. And again, embrace
the work that a lot of people in Kingston are doing, seeing if how you can support, how you can help. And once again, thank you very much for coming, sharing,
anytime,
telling us a little bit more about the brilliant work you're doing.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you very much, Georgie.